take one of one, hopefully. Let's do this thing. So I'm going to jump back and forth between the PowerPoint and my scripts. So I figured it'd probably be best to just leave this in its current state, without going to like the slideshow mode. So, getting interrupted by Discord notifications. If that happens again, I'll just mute it. All right, 25 seconds in, we're not doing anything yet. All right, so let's start with my approach. My approach was take the assignment one step at a time, and, especially with the math, I have to admit the concept is like still making me go cross-eyed sometimes. I'm like, so many different variables that are all conditional. It's been a minute since I worked with derivatives and all that good stuff. Y of 0, like y at 0, and then first derivative of y at 0. I'm like, all the implications that come with that, having to wrap my head around it again was one of the more difficult parts of this. I'm getting ahead of myself, but so I just took this one step at a time. Like, all right, let's, find the roots. It took me a minute to realize, oh yeah, just take the part that's under the radical, the discriminant from the quadratic equation, and that tells you, if it's negative or if it's, like if you look at my pseudocode, probably would have been good to include this, but use the discriminant to determine whether it's real or complex, because if the defined variable, the discriminant here, is less than 0, aka negative, it prompts the function to print complex roots. Bada boom. That part was a huge leap for me. I was like, okay, this is feeling a lot more feasible now. For example, that's basically the first iteration is just uno, dos, tres. I'm afraid I don't know Korean numerals. I don't know if numeral would be the right word there. I don't know numbers in Korean. Bada boom, got some roots. Cool. So, back to the PowerPoint. So we got the basic roots. Then the next step was taking the roots and calculating the correct response, which I think going by the pseudocode, I set up conditionals, at this point, this is all in a header file now, so I'm going to go to the header file. Well, I suppose actually the part where the discriminant is there. Obviously, that was figured out in the first place. Sorry, I don't mean to be. Oh, come on. Inefficient here. So these are now two UDFs in a header file, elegantly titled project header.h. You've got if, else if, and else. The conditionals. I'm having trouble finding the words. Luckily, if they're real repeated, they're going to be equal to each other. If they're distinct real, then they're not going to be equal. So you got to find the absolute value. And this is like a rounding function. I was looking around online naturally because I was a little stumped like with the math for this and how to implement it. And I saw some general examples of not exactly this kind of math, but I saw people working with something similar and it got me thinking, and it seems to work out better when I put this in there. So might not use this on an exam, but I don't know. I trust the, I forget which, like Quora.com person. Hopefully I didn't just freaking deduct points from looking at examples of scripts online, but I digress. Pointers make everything easy. Math. Honestly, the more I try to go back and like really look up and try to be able to thoroughly explain the math behind all this, I'm like, I can explain each individual step, but the overarching goal is a little lost on me. I just pretty much looked for the numbers to match up. I'm not going to lie. Print function, about what you expect. I think the craziest part of this, if there even is one, no, I don't think this is where things got weird. Now this is pretty standard. Just everything, excuse me, everything kind of. I'm being really gross during this video. I'm sorry. Everything pretty much worked out. All right, we're at the 5-minute mark. I get the impression you don't mind if this goes over 7 minutes, but at the same time, we all have only so much time on this earth, and no need to be inefficient. All right, so that's I got taking the roots and calculating the correct response. I mean, we can run that. I believe in the video it was like 1, 4, 1 are the A, B, and C, and then the initial conditions. That's the word really. I was fumbling with how to describe why not and why prime not. And I believe that is correct. I believe I verified that is those are the proper numbers. So fabulous. I mean, nothing's coming up with 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. They're all pretty distinct. It's looking pretty good to me. So onward to basically, that was pretty much just me covering my pseudocode. Pretty much went through all those lines. So part 2, aka the data.text reader and result.text writer. I lost my train of thought of where I was going with the sentence, the structure of that sentence. But the point being is that a very similar process. It's just a matter of using the right pointer and like file related functions like fopen and fscan and fclose and fprintf. I was like, it's not just f, it's not just printf. It's like, it's weird. It's weird, man. So forgive me, I just got a phone call during this video, so that distracted me for a moment, made me lose my train of thought again. Let's wrap it up. Let's bring it in. All right, so open the input file. Pretty standard stuff that we went over in class. Open the output file. This kind of threw me for a loop for a second. I was like, we have to open the output file. I thought but I went back and I was like, oh yeah, right. Programming, you have to define things before you actually define what they are made of. Pretty similar stuff. I tried to do something with the line count, but I just ran out of time trying to make this a little prettier when it prints, because you'll see it's just pretty much a line of values in its current state, but pretty much literally the same function here on the discriminant. You got one UDF, the calculation UDF, the printing UDF, and then this is actually printing to result.text. And this was another thing that I saw an example of, and I was like, I got to implement this. You can see that rounding thing here, so you can tell that it was a new invention, but pretty similar to like the conditionals that we saw in the UDFs earlier, where if lambdas are equal, then bada boom. If they're not, then absolute value equation, round it, and then otherwise, option 3, for lack of a better way to describe it. There was a display. I tried something to make it so that you'll see when I hit F11 and run this, I was trying to line count. I was trying to have some line of text that would be like line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, line 6. But it was being a total wiener, just not wanting to work. So it's 11:32 when I'm recording this. So that's on me. I mean, yeah, like I said in the last line of my pseudocode, voila, there you go. Yep, that's the those are the functions. My headers, I defined a different header because just working with the reading of text file instead of user input, it just made it a little. To be honest, I did this part a few days ago, and I forget what was being fudgy, but it worked out better when I just tore it down and built it back up from the ground up with a different header. And yeah, all right, let's wrap this up. Geez, all right, so most difficult part, what was learned. I think I've pretty much been saying this over the course of this video, but damn, like just highlight it, man. Most difficult part was just the whole not even the math itself, but just the conceptual nature of this part was. It still has me like going cross-eyed sometimes when I think about it. I'm like, what? Okay, so you have A and B and C, and then you find lambda, and then you find capital C, and then you find. I'm like, where does it end? I don't know. It ends somewhere, which is how I wrote the damn function. But, you know, after studying for another final yesterday or earlier this morning, I'm a little brainwashed on the specifics. But not brainwashed on learning about how to read and write files, and especially using those conditionals. I feel a lot stronger now in being able to just do what I want on a script. Opinion, I honestly like this programming assignment. I felt like, you know, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And it was all just like, you could just build on top of the script as you went along. You didn't have to like, with the exception of like the second header file, and on the second part with the reading and writing script, it was, you could pretty much just keep building upon what you had prior. So, awesome. Am I missing anything? I think that was it. All right, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. Booyah. Thank you.